This is I Am Change podcast. Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. There is zero success without change. Be the change you want to see. Believe, focus, achieve. In recent times, kidnapping seemed to top the list of security challenges Nigeria have had to deal with. Day after day, reports of abduction dominate the media space. Now, this has formed a major threat to Nigeria's national security. In this episode, we look at kidnapping, the root causes, its gruesome effects on victims and the society, and how best to deal with this menace. Joining me in this discussion is Alpha Jackden, a broadcast journalist, media manager, and a public good advocate. This is I Am Change podcast, and I am Joyce Umetu, your host. So thank you very much for joining me on I Am Change podcast.
Joyce, my honor.
All right. So let's dive right in. Kidnapping for ransom in Nigeria. It seems to be a very lucrative business right now, and the rate is becoming more and more alarming. You know, before now, kidnappers in Nigeria had targeted people in the oil industry, and the trend seems to be evolving now. The social political class are being targeted right now. Why is there an uprise in this trend?
There is an uprise in this trend largely because it is fast becoming an industry. In
Right.
your intro, you did make mention of the fact that it is becoming very lucrative.
Yes.
We've heard of people that have been kidnapped,
Right.
and to a large extent, a ransom of up to probably £500 million was paid, or
Yeah.
even more.
Right.
We know the case of Evans, the
Mhm.
kidnapper, who is in jail now as we speak.
Right.
But I want to go back a bit and talk about what is kidnapping.
Okay.
In my opinion, when you kidnap somebody against his will, or kidnapping is actually holding somebody against his will.
Right.
Now, what does it mean to hold somebody against one's will? It could be for economic, it could be for social,
Absolutely.
it could be for political reasons.
Yeah.
If you put a man behind jail or
Right.
behind bars,
Yeah.
and the court says you should release this man, and you decide not to, in my opinion, is a way of kidnapping the person.
Right.
If a girl doesn't want to marry you, and you say tradition had it in those days that all you need to do is nobody will know where she is, all I need to do is put her somewhere.
Yeah.
By the time she comes out, she's 6 months pregnant, there's nothing she can do, she's then used to me, she may have a change of mind.
Right.
It's a form of kidnapping. But what we are looking at here is kidnapping for economic reasons.
Right.
And the trend, as you did mention in your intro, is on the rise. It started with oil workers in the Niger Delta
Yeah.
region. Then all of a sudden, it started spreading to other parts of the country.
Yeah.
But why was the spread as fast as it is large? It's because a lot of people are probably jobless.
Unemployment.
Unemployment, yes, as a factor. But even
Right.
at that, I am not one to hurriedly agree that you have to look for the easy way out.
Okay.
Because, all right, people get kidnapped. Families that are languishing in poverty are forced to go out and get money to come and pay for ransom.
Right.
How have you helped that family? Because all you have done is you have primitively enriched yourself at the expense of the other family.
Right. All right. Thank you very much for that. So recently, the police force set up an intelligence response team, which is headed by Abba Kyari. They say they have been able to attain 90% success on apprehension of kidnappers. But what is scary now is the fact that Abba Kyari mentioned in a statement that the equipment the kidnappers use are even more sophisticated than that of the police force.
But who is to blame?
Okay.
Who is to blame? I
So-
will put it this way.
Okay.
Technology is ever evolving.
Right.
I'll give you an example. I am a media practitioner. If you want to start a new TV station and you think, all right, for a fizzy, permit me to use that word,
Okay.
you are going for the most technologically advanced equipment. I normally warn such people. The truth remains, yes, you want the very best, the latest HD equipment, what have you and what have you.
Yeah.
But in the next 3 months, there could be a higher version. because these things evolve every day.
So we
The
have to
bottom line
upgrade.
is that as policemen, they know that as much as we do know. You
Right.
have to be ahead of the criminal. Your thinking pattern should not be fulcrum around, okay, this crime just got perpetrated.
Right.
What is wrong in thinking ahead? If you think ahead as a policeman, and besides, if that is even the case, it's not for public consumption. I don't expect a police officer of Abduction standing to come out and make such a comment public. Because all you have told the criminals to do, as it were, is listen, go on. Because we can't apprehend you. Your equipment
Absolutely.
is a lot more sophisticated than ours. So what makes you a policeman? What makes you the law enforcement agent? Tell me, why are you there? That was a comment that shouldn't have gone out to the public.
To the public. Right. I think, okay, let's talk about the police force still. Don't you think they are making progress, or let's say they are working? Because we've heard lots of cases recently that they have rescued quite a number of victims, like the recent case of the children who were abducted in Kanu, yes, and they were found in Anambra, and I know they've since reunited with their families. So I'm thinking, I don't know, the police too, maybe in terms of service delivery.
Joy,
Yes.
you are as good as the society quite often you find yourself in. You are as good as the society you operate in.
Right.
Now, the policeman on the street of Nigeria is also a victim of the society.
Right.
He is a victim of the society because just last week we had a case in point where policemen said for the last 20 years they have bought their uniforms, they have bought their shoes. Now look at the kind of places they get trained. Go
That's
to the
right.
training schools. Those places are sheer squalor. Now, if you bring up a human being like that, how do you expect the best from him? Now, the beauty of it is that these are people that are very passionate about their jobs.
Yeah.
If you're not passionate as a policeman, you will not stand under the rain and under the sun to protect other citizens. I will give it to the Nigerian police. If they mean to work, they work. Now, how do I mean? Have you thought of the fact that an assistant commissioner of police was kidnapped between Benguari and Kaduna some 3-4 months ago? He was found in less than 3 days.
Okay.
A police commissioner or his DCP or something was kidnapped sometime last week.
Right.
Within 2 days, he was found. Why is it that if it is within the military or within the police or within the armed forces as we were, they will go to the rescue of their own? There was a case of where a lady who works with the DSS was kidnapped sometime in Port Harcourt.
Right.
And her colleagues brought her out in less than 2 days. Now, you see, that is on the one hand, right?
Right.
May their souls rest in peace. We saw what happened to the elite team that went to arrest Wadumi, and they ended up being victims of the society we live in, where corruption strives, where it's money that defines the men from the boys. Look at how those men lost their lives.
Right.
These were guys that were working. Now, when you see things like that, you know that the Nigeria police, which is probably one of the best in the world.
Yes, I was
because
even going to
if we
say that.
actually
Yes.
go out, we are rated as one of the best. So I give it to them.
Okay.
But I will encourage them to put in more. They must understand that literally if everyone within every sphere of national life that we found ourselves in were to put in our best,
Right.
not at the expense of the state, but at the instance of making our society the synergy of the world, I assure you, Nigeria will in no distant future become the next destination of the world. Here we are dealing with xenophobic attacks
Right.
in South Africa. You know, I hear people say, oh no, we helped South Africa, we did it. Okay, you helped them and they've decided to turn their backs on you.
And you.
So what are you doing? Why can't we fix our home front? If we fix infrastructure in Nigeria, I can assure you that in no distant time, everybody, we have an estimated 200 million population. You know what that means. Here we are talking about xenophobia. I said this at some other forum, Joy.
Okay.
The Diaspora Commission, headed by Mrs. Abike,
Yes.
should please be proactive.
Okay.
She should start sensing Nigerians on the need to come back home. Listen, countries are beginning to isolate themselves. Look at the Brexit issue. Look at what is going on in South Africa. A Trump woke up one day and said, America first. America was like the big brother.
Yeah.
But he has said, no. He is a businessman. He brought business into the White House. For him, if you are not within that sphere of influence, stay away. It's a Trump that will pull out soldiers and tell you we were not meant to be there for you.
Right.
See this kind of thing. Now, can we do all we possibly can to start making Nigerians realize that, okay, it is South Africa today. It could be Europe tomorrow.
Yeah.
It could be any other place tomorrow. Think of the number of doctors serving outside these shores that were trained in Nigeria. Think of the number of nurses serving outside these shores. And you and I know that we need them. Think of the engineers that are doing and performing wonders outside the shores of Nigeria. And look at where we are as a country. Now, the bottom line is we need to fix our country. We should be proud of where we come from.
Yeah.
We're great people. We're great people. And I only wish that our children, the elderly, will, whatever is keeping us apart, be it religion, be it politics, be it gender, call it what, can we collapse all this and begin to see ourselves as Nigerians? And from there, I can assure you that we will become the next superpower. It's very possible.
Okay, so the Nigerian military, still talking about the force, the Nigerian military has planned a nationwide operation to demand identity cards from citizens across the country. It's called Operation Positive Identification. I don't know if you've heard about it. Okay, so they say it's aimed at separating the citizens from terrorists, and then it's also aimed at reducing crime in the country. So this measure, they say, have started in the northeast, all the Boko Haram ravaged areas, and in months to come, it's expected to extend nationwide. So now Nigerians are reacting. They are saying this is a breach of the Constitution. People are of the view that is an infringement of human rights. What's your reaction on this development?
Well, I think where it becomes an infringement of human rights is probably where some level of force is applied that should not be. But if it is a function of, sir, can you identify yourself?
Okay.
I don't see it as a breach in any way.
Okay.
But be that as it may, Joy, for me, I think it's an exercise in futility. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of resources. Already the military is overstretched. And then you're still bringing people to come out and do this stop and search measures. Okay, I for one, wherever I go to, I have my driver's license.
Right.
I have my national identity card. I have my NUJ identity card. At least those three. But I can assure you, how many Nigerians have been to any of NAMESY's registration centers to get registered? And even if they have, you get a name slip.
Right.
Have you gotten your card? I know of people that have not gotten their card in like 4 or 5 years.
Right.
You understand this kind of
Absolutely.
thing? Now, my clarion call to the military is they must understand that, yes, they have decided for reasons best known to them. Even though for me as a citizen, I don't think it's necessary. But the bottom line is that since they've decided to embark on same, they must not violate the human rights of anybody. If you meet a man who is probably not coordinated, maybe it's because he's ill. It could also be because he's hungry. It could also be because he has given up on life. Treat everyone with that sense of decency. Don't go out and think that because, this person is not looking the way this next person looks, and hence there is something about him. The thing is that if for any reason they discover anybody who they think should not be at a particular place at a particular time, such a person should be subjected to some kind of psychological rating before you arrive at any conclusions. Now, I hope that is part and parcel of what they intend to achieve.
So do you think this measure will curb the insecurity in
I
any
don't
way?
see it curbing anything, because the truth of the matter is that they have told us, if you look at the insurgency that has ravaged the Northeast, as it were, Joy, what's happening? Mostly foreigners.
Yes.
So these are people that our borders, we have thousands of land borders that is unmanned. Right? When Libya came down, when Gaddafi came down, there was an influx of military arms and ammunition from Libya, from Mali, from where have you. The insurgency that we have all witnessed, and we are still witnessing in bits and pockets, it's not largely a Nigerian thing. There was so much foreign collaboration. So that must also be taken into cognizance.
Right. Moving on, the Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, was quoted to have said that kidnapping is not entirely true in Nigeria. But in a statement, the Vice President has also denied the comment and noted that his words were taken out of context. So how do we correlate this report?
I want to believe you're making reference to the town hall meeting that
took place in New York. Yes, in New York.
In the US,
yes.
a few months ago.
Yes.
Now let me begin this way. The professor gentleman who happens to be Nigeria's vice president, as it were, is a man of words. He's a man of letters.
Yes.
You must have this behind your mind. It's his boss that left this country and went to a foreign show and said, "My wife belongs to the other room." It's his boss that left this country and went to the other shows and said, "Nigerian youths are lazy." It is his boss that went to a foreign land and said, $2.1 billion was shared by a certain group of persons, and hence Nigerians are corrupt. Not some Nigerians, not even some Nigerian leaders. He said Nigerians are corrupt. Meanwhile, I know that it's not a statement of fact. Because there are people, Joy, when you see people on the street selling cola nuts to make ends meet, what comes to your mind? When you see a beautiful girl standing at a petrol station dispensing fuel and collecting money as a fuel attendant, what comes to mind? You call that girl lazy? When you see a man who should be resting with his family, peeling oranges to make sure he provides for his family, you call such a man a corrupt man? We know that corruption is endemic. There's no gainsaying that. But the bottom line remains, it is within a very minute population. And hence, if we want to talk about corruption, we should address it to where it belongs. Now, back to your question. When the vice president made that comment, I did feel sorry for him. Because the man cannot go and kowtow or toe in the way of his boss. You won't go abroad and start telling them that kidnapping has so ravaged us that, there's so much at stake. There's direct foreign investment.
That's right.
There is so much that can come in. Nobody wants to go to a place that he's scared of going.
Absolutely.
Nobody will go and put his money in a place that they will tell you insecurity has overtaken everybody. Right? We live in a country where once upon a time, Mr. A and his wife are having a quarrel, and before you know it, you will see everybody running on the street. They will tell you insurgents have come. You understand what I mean? So, I felt sorry for him when he made that comment, but we cannot deny the fact that kidnapping is real. Kidnapping is on the high side. Kidnapping is gradually becoming an industry. He may have denied same overseas, but those of us living back at home know that kidnapping is fast becoming an industry, and we hope that same can be mitigated soon.
So do you think kidnapping in Nigeria has maybe some little political overtones or religious overtones too?
It's not religious. It's not political. It's the undertone is actually more of compromise. The kidnappers and their surrogates, which include, of course, politicians, which includes security agents across the agencies, Normally, those are their foot soldiers, because we've heard of where kidnappers will say, okay, it was a police DPO that sold this AK-47 to us at 700,000 naira. It was a former military man that was dismissed that trained us in the act of shooting.
Yeah.
So there are compromises here and there, but that can be taken care of. It can be nipped in the bud.
All right. Let's talk about this area that most people usually do not talk about: the victims. Life after release. What do you think, or how do you think this whole thing affects them?
Before we get there, I would want to shed light on the place of technology as far as curbing kidnapping before we get to
All right.
life after
Go
release.
ahead. Yes.
The bottom line is technology is the mainstay as we speak today.
Yes.
There hardly is any part of this country, apart from the Northeast, that was ravaged. If technology is truly deployed
Yes.
and allowed to work, and security agencies, as I did mention earlier in the course of our discussion, are ahead of the kidnappers, ahead of them psychologically,
Right.
ahead of them. The narrative must change. The thought pattern must change.
That's right.
You don't wait for it to happen and then you react. You must be proactive. Don't always think of, and when you have to even react, there's a whole lot difference between reacting and responding.
Yes.
They are not one and the same. When you respond to an issue, you must have thought through it. But when
Right.
you react, it's like, well, that was the first thing that dropped.
That
and then-
dropped,
now
yeah.
that seems to be the trend.
Absolutely.
So, in my opinion, technology should be deployed.
All right.
Now, indeed, you talked about a very major issue.
Yeah.
Joy, we live in a country where psychologists are in short supply.
That's right.
Now, people get kidnapped, people get kept in the bush. Sadly, some get raped,
Yeah.
traumatized, subjected to very inhuman conditions. Now, such a person comes out, and you expect that such a one will just join society and pretend that nothing happened. Thank you so much for this question. The bottom line is, whoever is listening to this podcast, those in authority, those in the health sector, they must understand that when people get kidnapped, please, they should be subjected to some counseling sessions, hoping that with time, the stigma and the trauma as such that such a one was subjected to can become a thing of the past. There's a lady that gave a testimony in my church.
Right.
She was kidnapped and she was kept, I think, maybe for almost a month.
Oh.
Now, this is a middle-aged woman. She went through hell. You know, imagine the rain came. Imagine kidnapping somebody in the Port Harcourt area. The rains came, you were in that forest all by yourself at some point, even naked. And who are those doing these things? Boys that are old enough to be your children. And there you are standing naked in front of them. And you are even lucky if you don't get molested sexually and what have you. Now, how can such a woman come out? And then, beyond thanking God for her release,
Right.
the right thing to do is to subject her to counseling sessions, hoping that by then you will debrief her. I know certain sections of the security agencies, when you're leaving, they debrief you.
Okay.
Yes, because you are now going back to society. You are not where you've always been.
Right.
Now, when it comes to this, please, mental health experts should know that this is one area they need to come in. If such cases are presented, please see to it that you give it a human face. Well, they are experts, they know what to do.
Right.
Hoping that such persons can be integrated into society. It's like a rape victim. Most times you just believe that, oh, she got molested and then nobody was here and then life moves on. A lot of them live with the scar and it affects them literally in everything they do.
Right.
So, as far as this question is concerned, when it comes to issues that bother our mental health,
Right.
we need to start seeing that we take it so seriously in Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much. So it was established in the course of our discussion too that most of the people that engage in kidnapping are the youths. What's your advice to them?
To the Nigerian youth,
Yes.
there is so much the Nigerian youth can offer.
Right.
I will be 50 soon.
Okay.
I sat with 4 of my friends.
Okay.
We were discussing. I am a car freak.
All right.
I love cars. And then I told my friends, let's design cars.
Okay.
I know of one of them who is an engineer. He said, okay, he will look at the engine.
Okay.
I said, I will look at the interior.
Right.
The other guy said he will look at the structure. The other guy said all he's going to design is an alloy wheel. Joy, in 30 minutes, if you saw what we produced,
Oh, well.
you will love it. Now, these are guys that I think the youngest amidst us is like maybe 40.
Wow.
Now, is it these young ones that have so much in them? I believe in them. I remember in those days, my kid sister, who is about 30 now, if you brought any new gadget to the house, she was the one that unveiled it. I mean, at that age,
Yes.
she would sit down, you will see, she will do this, and she puts it all together. Now, the Nigerian youth is one of the best that God has produced. If
Right.
it isn't time, look at it. GSM phones came. Before, with little or no training, you saw people now
Yeah.
beginning to repair GSM phones. Where did they get
yes.
the training from? There is so much the youths can engage in. The thing about any money that can make you lose your life in the process of trying to get is not worth it.
That's right.
And there's nothing as gathering little by little.
Yeah.
This thing about, oh, you want to make 20 million naira in a day.
Fast money.
This thing about, I want to wake up and see a Rolls Royce out in front of my house.
Yeah.
That's not the way to go. Hard work pays. Hard work has never killed anybody. My clarion call to the Nigerian youth is they should not look at what political leaders are doing by stealing from the common wealth,
Right.
and they think, okay, if he is doing it, I should do
You can
it.
do it the
That's
same.
the way to go. That I want to tell them it's not the way to go.
Right.
If you cannot go to school, get a skill. Honda was not invented on a university campus. Mercedes was not invented on a university campus. Whatever you're passionate about, I know of a vet doctor that is today what does he do now? A banker? Yes, I know of a vet doctor that is today a banker.
Right.
Okay? Whatever your passion is, I know of a vet doctor, there's a broadcaster.
Okay.
You know, so there are different people. I know of a medical doctor that I understand went to join a mechanic workshop kind of thing
All right.
to learn how to repair cars. Whatever you're passionate about, there's something you can do about it. We may not all be privileged because of background to
That's
make it
right.
to school and not,
Absolutely.
but there's always something you can do. And we've gotten to a stage now, Joy, where with as little as 5,000 naira, you can start a pure water business. And if you are diligent, the
Right.
word is diligent. If you are diligent, in no time you can have your own sachet water production company. So it's
Yeah.
all about hard work, it's about innovation, it's about your ability to think ahead, it's about adding value to
The
society.
society.
And kidnapping is not the way to go.
Okay. How strong is our judicial system? You know, in enforcing the kidnapping law. I'm aware there's a kidnapping law on ground, and we've seen cases of kidnappers being paraded and all sorts, and we don't know how the Nigerian judicial system can be strengthened.
You know, as it were, looking at the spate of kidnapping in Nigeria,
Right.
the rise came up in the last 20 years. I'm also aware of the fact that some state houses of assembly have even recommended the death penalty for anybody, capital punishment, who
All right.
is caught kidnapping.
Kidnapping. Okay.
We've seen different jail terms. some 20 years, some 30 years, some what have you. As far as the judiciary is concerned, we have not seen any high-profile reprimands. Because the problem with the judiciary in Nigeria is if you have money, you can let or you can go off the hook. And it's the one that doesn't have that normally ends up the victim. My call to the judiciary is it is about time that for truth, for God and for people,
right,
the right thing gets done.
Mm-hmm. Okay, finally, if you were now to advise Nigerian leaders on how best to tackle this menace in our society, what proactive measures would you suggest? Just in a few words.
Engage the youth.
Right.
Get them busy.
Okay.
Because they are the people that will perpetrate these acts. Make examples with anybody caught.
Okay.
Fueling this from the background. Be he a politician, be he anybody. By the time Nigerians see a few high-profile persons that have been convicted as aiding or abetting kidnapping, people will sit up.
Thank you so much for your insightful analysis.
Joy is my honor.
Thank
you
you.
so much for having me.
All right. That was Mr. Alpha Jackden, a broadcast journalist, sharing his views on the current security challenges in the country, particularly kidnapping. Though the government has a major role to play as its core obligation is securing the lives and properties of its citizens, security is everyone's responsibility. You've been listening to I Am Change podcast. I'm Joyce Ometu. Thank you for listening.